Hello everyone. Today we're going to create sunrise scene inside Unreal Engine 5.3. First, go to File, New Level, choose Basic, hit Create, and select the floor and delete. And I'm going to create shapes, plane, reset the position. Just click this reset and enable lock. I'm going to give 1000 so that it will scale X, Y, Z. Then the scene position, I'm going to place the camera angle is going to be on the towards y-axis. So I have already downloaded some few assets from Megascan. I can show you here. Megascan, going to enable the filter static mesh. If you enable this filter here, you can enable the static mesh filter so that I can see all the 3D assets inside Megascan's folder. So here there are some few assets I have downloaded. So you can find it in Pixel Bridge. You can find here. You can use any asset if you want, no issue. So if I click and drag this one first, I'm going to give minus 50,000 on y-axis. So it is very far away from here. Then I'm going to scale about 60 on X, Y, Z. Okay. Next, I'm going to drop this asset. Going to give minus 500 on y-axis, 5000. I'm going to increase the scale about 3. So keep it somewhere in this position. Next, for the background, I have the asset gigantic sandstone terrain. So it's you can click and drag and position. I can give minus 50,000, minus 70,000. So it will be very far away from the scene. I'm going to rotate. This is just, I'm creating it for just a background. So I place it somewhere here. I can duplicate to the other side also. So then I can rotate this like that. Fine. Next, I'm going to add some foreground element, which is this. Okay. So then I have another asset. This one. You can see here. So just then I can increase the scale of this. So this is not going to visible clearly because I'm going to set up the sunrise from the opposite direction. So this area will looks more darker. Okay. So later on we will adjust the positions. Next, I need some foliages on this asset. I want to create some foliages. This is optional. If you want, you can add, but you can leave it as it is. But I'm going to add some few trees on the rock, so it looks much better. For that reason, so I'm going to download asset from Marketplace. Inside the Marketplace, you can search Rural Australia, which is free. You can click Add to Project, enable Show All Projects. Then I find out the project sunrise and click Add to Project. I have already added this project, so I'm going to leave it. Once you added that, you get this folder. Switch off the static mesh. Okay, switch on the static mesh. So first I'm going to create water. So switch off the static mesh and go to the folder water. there is a really nice water material is available. So I'm going to use this water material material instance. Click and drag and drop into the plane. So you can able to see this nice water material. Fine. I don't want this player start. I'm going to delete. So next, I'm going to add some foliage on the rock. So select the rock, press F on the keyboard so I can focus on this rock, and go to foliage, go to selection mode and select foliage. I'm going to paint foliage. So again, I'm going to get the tree from the rural Australia. So select the folder, enable static mesh. So you can see all the static mesh inside the folder. I'm going to select this tree 3 and click and drag it on the foliage. And make sure the static mesh is enabled so that I can paint on the static mesh. The very first thing is select, reduce the density to 5. The next, I'm going to switch off align to normal, because if I paint, the trees will be in a different direction, so I don't want. And the another one is, this looks very very big. I want to make it very small. So Control Z. I'm going to enable this, switch off this align to normal. Then I'm going to change the scale X minimum and maximum. So I'm going to make 0.3, maximum 0.4. Now if I paint, and I can see here, so get this trees on the top. I'm going to paint some few trees over here, probably here. So this is optional. See, just want to create that. Okay, still it is looking big, so I'm going to Control Z, change the minimum 0.3, 0.2 and 0.25. Go to paint over here. So we are creating a very small trees. So I just wanted to show this is very far away and huge rock. So I'm painting some few trees on the rock. Okay, fine, that's looking good. The same thing I'm going to do for this rock as well. So I press F, zoom in, and go to foliage. Select the tree. I'm going to reset the scale X and scale X minimum and maximum, because I want to change the size. See, it is very very small trees. You see this? Still it is, because the rock is huge. I'm going to Control Z, increase the brush size by pressing a square bracket, or you can increase it from here. So I'm increasing the square bracket by pressing. So I wanted to increase this to 1.5, and I can see here we're creating a lot of trees. That looks so dense now. I'm going to reduce the density to 1. I think I'm going to reduce this 1.5 as well. So just want to show some silhouette trees. I'm not going to show the high detailed tree, because we're going to make a sunrise, so that's not going to be visible much. I think it looks good. Let's go back to selection. So now you can see here. Then Next, we're going to see this. I want to set up a camera here. For that, so I'm going to create a sequence. So click on this sequence button, add level sequence. So I'm going to save this name sunrise. Save and zoom in here, about here. Create camera, so that this will create a camera on the location of this perspective view, the same way which will create the camera. So now we're going to set the camera, select the camera. So film pack, I'm going to set this to 16:9 DSLR. Okay. Then I'm going to set the crop setting. In Unreal, I'm using Unreal Engine 5.3. So in 5.3, this crop setting is available. So you can change this. And you can, you can change the cinematic viewport so that we are looking through the cinematic viewport so we can see the controls. Fine. Okay, you can see here. Now the thing is, if I select this, if I reposition, the trees will move along with the rock. See that? Okay, that is really good. And I'm going to set up the that mountain I want to move. So you can go to the different view actually by selecting this. Go to layouts and select this view, and I can see the top view here. And here I'm going to look through the cinematic camera. Now you see the mountains here. So again, move closer like this. I'm going to move this as well. Okay, that's fine. So later on, we are going to animate the camera. So click this button. So it will enlarge the scene. Next, we're going to set up the sun. I'm going to position opposite to this camera view. So Control L, hold Control L, and you get this. I'm going to rotate this camera. Sorry, I'm going to rotate this light so the sun will be towards the camera angle. And if you don't see the sun properly because of the clouds, so you can switch off the volumetric cloud. Now I can see the sun here. So hold Control L, and I can move this sun to whichever direction I want. Now I want to set up sky atmospheric, the sky atmospheric that will change the entire scene lighting. So if I select the sky atmospheric, there are some few settings you can set up. For example, ray light scattering scale. So if I increase this gives more orange looking scene. See, you can see the background, the sun, the haze, everything looks more. And the Rayleigh exponential distribution, if I reduce it, it will compensate with the blues, and the haze will move down like this. So I'm going to set up this by Rayleigh scattering 0.45. It looks more orange. This Rayleigh exponential distribution, I'm going to make it 2. So that will remove the more orange. So it looks more bluish. Okay. The next MIE scattering scale, I'm going to set this to 0.2 because so you get some more haze around the sun. Actually, I want to make. So if I make this 0.2, and you can see the circle, this creating haze. I'm going to leave this absorption scale with the default. Mainly the anisotropy MIE, that if I increase it, the sun reflection will fall on the water. See, let me control a little bit. I will change the position here. Okay. Now, if I go to the sky atmosphere, if I increase this and you start seeing this, the reflection happening on the water. Okay. So I don't want this much. I'm going to set this 0.9. 0.9 is really good. We now get a decent amount of reflection on the water. Then I want to make a little bit more the sun. See, for example, I want to make the sun little bigger. I want to make it bigger. So we can go to the directional light. Select the directional light. This source angle. If I increase it, and you see this is looks big enough, you know. So see, now you see the blend is happening here. The bottom you can see here. This is blending nicely from the bottom to top. You can set up how big you want it. I want to make this 3.5 or 4. It's good. Then go back to the sky atmosphere, and I'm going to change this exponential distribution. So I'm going to increase it. You see what happens if I increase it. You get more blend from this horizon. If I reduce it, you see, you get a. So you have to decide how much you want this to be. So 1.8 or 2 or 1.6 will be good. Now if I control L, press control L, and if I move the sun down, you see, you get a nice haze is happening. It is because of this, you know. If I reduce this, you can see here. So this is going to decide how much you need that the haze is going to be. Okay. So that's what I want to make 1.3. Okay, so if I control L and move, you see that nice sky, you know, we get this. Now the thing is, next we have to enable volumetric fog. You see, if I go to the exponential height fog, I'm going to enable this volumetric fog. You can search if you want, and you don't see much, but if I increase this scattering distribution a little bit, and I'm going to increase the intensity, fog intensity. If I make this 0.05, sorry, to make 1, and you see this, we get lots of fog coming through this. If I adjust the height fall off so that the fog will fall off in height, if I increase it and you see the sun, we get this, the fog coming from this. Now if I move this control L and see, and you can see the light shaft is happening because of the volumetric fog. Still slightly you can see here there is a small shaft is happening. If I select this exponential height fog and change the scattering distribution, if I reduce it, that will, you know, that will reduce it. If I adjust this height fall off, you start seeing more light softness happening, but I don't want that much, but slightly I need about this is good. So next, if you wanted to have more bloom effect. I wanted to make it a little bit bloom. You can do it in a directional light. You can select directional light, scroll down. There is a light shaft. This is giving this the light shaft, and the light shaft bloom. If I give, you see this. So we get bloom effect entire scene. If I can adjust this, reduce it, and you see if I make it 0, this is happening. If I increase it, it gets. But I'm not going to use this, switch off this. Instead of that, I'm going to use post-process volume for the scene. So let's click on the add button, go to visual effects, post-process volume. And if I press G, you can see here, G is the game mode. You can toggle between the game mode and normal mode. So you can see this volume. So select the post-process volume, search infinite extend. So enable that so that this post-process volume will affect the entire scene instead of affecting only inside the volume. So now you see there is an option. If I collapse this by click on this, collapse all categories, so it will close everything. If you go to lens, there is a bloom. So method enable this, and I'm going to change instead of standard we give the same effect which we did before, but I don't want that. But change this into convolution, so you get some star looking bloom effect, which is really nice. Now you can see when you go on the edge, you get a more nice soft looking bloom. Next, I'm going to set up post-process volume, close this bloom. I'm going to set up an exposure. So you can do EV, minimum and maximum EV. You can set 0.5, and you see here if I set up this different, even if I increase this to -5, -5 will give more see, getting more bloom effect. But I'm not going to use this. You can do very simple method. You can enable this metering mode. I want to set up manually, so it looks completely black. So enable this exposure compensation, make it about 12, 11 or 10 will be good. Looking good. Then next I want to add some clouds. So you can use volumetric cloud. If I enable this, so we're not able to see the sun. Okay, so press G to hide this. So if I select the volumetric cloud, there are a few settings I'm going to set up. The first is trace max distance. I'm going to reduce it. So this will, I want to make the clouds should be stretched. Then I'm going to reduce this tracing start max distance, which means if I reduce it, this will remove the clouds on the horizon. So you see here, you can see here. So then I'm going to reduce this layer height. Sorry, increase the layer height, and now you can see I have a very light clouds. This is really good because the sun will coming through the clouds. And still you have this option, skylight cloud bottom occlusion. If you want, you can increase it. But you have the material, you can open this material, double click, and you can adjust this, all the different settings. I'm not going to adjust, so you can explore this, all the setting when you double click on the material. Okay, so now this This is a setting I like to. Yeah, it's looking good. Control L and check it out. And you see the clouds. That's what I want. You can explore some different settings on the cloud material. You can change the cloud types and all. Okay, so select the volumetric cloud. I'm going to just a little bit. Okay, very slightly. That's fine. Next, I'm going to add cloud manually. Means I'm going to create a material, uh, the cloud. So if you go to Google and search cloud, and you get plenty of images you get. And here this image I'm going to download. I'm going to set up a cloud. You see, let me show you how we can do it. So I'm going to use Photoshop for this. Okay, select the background, go to select color range. So I'm going to select according to the color. So pick the cloud blue. Okay, about this, increase the fuzziness to 200 and hit OK. So it will be selected. And we have selected this sky, but I want to duplicate only the clouds from this layer. So I'm going to select invert selection. Go to select, invert, shift control I. So this it will invert. Control J. Control J is layer via copy, which means you can see this layer have only the clouds. We have removed almost all the blue. So this background I will set gray color and fill it so that I can see this layer, the layer 1. I'm going to create a mask on the layer. So click on the mask and the brush, standard brush, general brush, you can choose this smooth. If you want to make a fade, I can increase the brush size. In the bottom, I want to make nicely blend. So just click and drag it. I'm removing the bottom of this. I'll reduce this. Reduce the brush size. I'm going to remove. Increase the brush size a little bit. In the bottom, I'm removing smooth fade. Okay, that's okay. And I want to remove this as well. So just painting the black color. Keep in mind the foreground should be the black so that it will erase, going to erase this as well. So I don't want any kind of edges. Just remove this. Okay, I'm going to leave. Fine. Switch off the background. It's very important. Switch off the background. I'm going to save this as a PNG image. Okay. PNG. Choose PNG. Let's create a new folder. Load texture. And I can call this cloud. So leave it. So now I'm going to import inside content drawer. So right click, create a new folder, cloud, switch off the static mesh. So right click, import to game, search cloud text and select the image and hit open. We have opened it. Next we're going to right click on this, create material, right click on the texture, create material. Okay, I'm going to give m underscore cloud underscore matte. That's a good one. Just double click to open. I'm going to click and drag and dock this so that it can show you with the full screen. Okay, and we are inside the material editor. The very first thing, you have to select the material, change the blend mode Right now it's opaque to additive. Okay. Then the alpha goes to opacity. Now you can see here, if I enable this plane here, so you can see here, looking nice. I like this. Then I want to control this opacity instead of directly. What will happen if I save this and if I apply? So click on the plus button. I'm going to create a simple plane. That's fine. Scale it about 5. I'm going to rotate this. Enable the angle snap 90 degree. So scale it the both direction. Now I can directly click and drag and apply this. Now you see the cloud. It's not clearly visible now, but okay, but it's not clearly visible. So I have to control the opacity of this cloud. Okay, for that I need to make parameters. Very simple. Right click, search, multiply. So that's a simple math node. Take this alpha and connect into the A, and the output node goes to the opacity, and I can adjust this value inside the material, but I want to adjust instantly inside the level itself. So right click on the B, promote to parameter. I call it opacity. Then, and for the color also, so I'm going to create an emissive actually. Okay, so you get more brighter cloud. Okay, so I'm going to use again multiply. I can duplicate this by Control D. So I can duplicate this multiply. Take RGB into A. In the B, keep it here. Hold 3 or constant, type constant 3 vector, which is a color. You can choose the color. If I double click on this area, so you can set up a color. I leave it white. This output goes to B, and the multiply output goes to emissive. Now the emissive will give bright look. See the opacity right now by default 0. I'm going to set this to 1. Now you see the bright looking cloud. So this is what I have done. So save this. Once I save, and if I go, and you can see the cloud looks brighter because we created emissive. I want to control the opacity. See, directly you cannot, directly you can open the material and edit, but you cannot edit here. So instead of that, I can right click on this master material, original material, create instance, material instance. I'm going to leave this, and this instant I'm going to apply for this. So, okay, just click and drag it, and you notice this plane selected, this material instant is enabled. If you double click on this icon, or you can open this instant, I'll just untuck this. Now you see this, if I enable the opacity, which we have created in here, and reduce the opacity. So now you see I have reduced it. The good thing about this, I can change this color value, also convert to parameter. Right click on the node, convert to parameter. I'm going to call it color and save it. It's very important. Once I save, you can see the instance. I have the color. I can enable the color. I can change the cloud color. So you can put this far behind here you can increase the scale. I'm just clicking and dragging it, just setting this. Okay, so I'll move this here, and still you can able to change the opacity less. You know why I created some smooth fade in this? Because it has to fade in the top. Okay, so that's the reason. You can see how smoothly it is because of additive. If the sun is brighter, this area will be transparent. And you see, if I control L and move, you see the clouds looks transparent when it gets brighter. So that's what. But you can see this when I sunset, it looks more brighter. Okay, so that I can fix it later. But for now, it is looking good. Save it and close this one. I'm going to select this plane. I can give a name for this if you want. So I'm Alt and duplicate. You can go to this 2V, which is click on this again. Set this. I want to put this far behind here, like 200, 400, because it's very far away from this camera angle. That is fine. You can double click on the instant, open the instance, increase the opacity a little bit. Looking good. Close it. And for this one, it's just very closer to the camera. I will keep maybe here or here. Yeah, here. So I will increase the scale 150. Okay. I'm going to rotate this. I guess 180. When I rotate, I'm looking at the backside of the plane, so we are not able to see the texture itself. So what I'll do, I'm going to duplicate this material instance. Control D. So I have a duplicate. And I'm going to apply that. Select this material. Select the plane 3. Assign this. Now, if I open up this instance, click open up here. Here, there is a settings. Material property override. There is a two-sided. If I enable this, so you can see this. Now I can adjust. I'm going to make this a little brighter. $200. Okay. So I'm going to minimize this. Now you see this cloud is here in the front of this. So I'm going to save the scene. Okay. Okay. So when you save this, and it will come out from the level sequence. So you have to go here, and you have created this level sequence. Will be available. You can click on this. It looks very dark because we have to mount the camera here. Just click on this camera button. You can look through this camera view. Now I want to add one more very interesting element inside the scene, that is birds. The birds available in the rural Australia as well. So you can go to the rural Australia, go to effects. There is a two type. One is birds and falling leaves. So I'm going to choose birds. First, I'm going to add this birds to. If I click and drag and drop, go to the top view, I can click on this. And you see the position of this. I want to position here, move up, and I want to move a little closer. And you see the dots. I want to, so I can adjust the position, the birds. I can move this down, forward. So that size is, you see that? It's flying from this side. It's going to this direction. This looks nice. You can use the other one also. You can drag and drop this. There are some few birds flying around. Okay. So looks very dynamic. The scene looks, look at this. Looks nice. Press G on the keyboard. You can see in the game view. Now we are going to animate the sunrise. Sun has to move from bottom to top. It has to animate towards this direction. So to animate the sun, you have to rotate the directional light. Directional light, if you want to animate the directional light, you have to drop this directional light inside the sequencer. So I'm going to close this camera. Okay, so I'm going to click and drag and drop inside the level. So the directional light will be available inside the sequence so that I can able to animate it, right? But you see there is no option to rotate. There is no rotation, transform, anything in the directional light. If you click on this plus, click on the, you can add transform inside the light. Let's open up the transform. Mainly we're going to do this rotation pitch. If I adjust this, this is a rotation which is considered to be 0 to 360, right? I want to, you can see this 356 from the 356 59, yeah, 59.99. So I'm going to enable this key 359. Let's set this, and you can see here 3.9. Okay, so we can make it 360. Yes, you can set up 360 as well. In some distance, some duration. For example, I want to make this whole animation about 1000 frames, but the camera animation I can make it 400 or 300. So I'm going to enable this, increase this end frame by clicking on this, and I'm going to give 1000, and it will automatically set up the 1000 frames we are right now. Forward this. I'm going to reduce this 340. It is nice. Now you can see here, if I scroll down, I see it's moving up. But the sun has to move this direction. So I have to make animation for the yaw. Okay. So let's go to forward, increase it to this. Okay. Now you can see here, this automatically makes keyframe on the edge. Okay. Now you see this. It goes through this. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. See, I have animated this, yeah, from 64 to 180. The first frame, 0 frame, 64. The last frame, 118. So now I get this animation. If I hit play, You can see the sun is coming out, and we're getting some nice lights of some birds flying. It's going through this because of bloom. I get a nice lights off. It's looking good. Now we got to animate the camera. So rewind, alt, and I'm moving backward, I guess. Select the camera actor, switch on this first rewind to 0, and enable the transform. I'm going to set up about 500. You can give 500. Okay, go to 500, move this camera like this. See, if you want to frame this, you can enable this grid here, grid 3x3. This gives the rule of third position where you want to position the camera. I think it is fine. So enable the transform and make a key by clicking on this button. Now if I rewind and play, you see the camera animation also. You can switch off this by disable it. Now rewind and play. You can see this. You see the clouds looking very bright. So that is also, you can animate. I want to move this cloud also. I want to move this cloud. So I'm going to select this plane 3, close the camera actor. Plane 3, drag and drop here. And you have the transform, just rewind. Go to transform. I'm going to enable the key for the transform. If you want to move this, control and left click, you can move on x-axis, control and left click. Control and right click will move on y-axis. Control left and right will move on z-axis. Because I can't see I'm not seeing this manipulator, widget. Okay, so click on the key. Go to 500. The key. You see the clouds are moving. And you see this in this position, it looks too bright. You see this? And this cloud also looking bright. So I have to animate the cloud. Okay. So I have already the plane 3, but I don't see any. I want to animate the opacity. At the starting frame, it has to be 0. Slowly, the opacity has to increase. But I don't have any option here, but I can do it in the plane. Click on the plus, add a track. I'm going to choose this static mesh component. And you get this static mesh component here, and click on the plus, and you have this element. Element 0 is the material slat. You see here. That is what we're going to enable. In this element, again, if you click on the plus, and you see this color and opacity, which we have created inside the material, this opacity and the color, which will be available. So when you enable that, you get this opacity. Now I can animate this. So make it 0. And at the 500, go ahead, increase the opacity about this. This is good. Now if I rewind and play, see there is no cloud now, and slowly the sunrise, and slowly this cloud appears In fact, you can animate the color also. You can animate the color also. If you think this cloud look, moves very faster, and you can reduce the animation duration and timing. And this also I have to animate. So select the plane to drop this, click enable the static mesh component. In the static mesh component, the element, the material element, choose opacity 0. If you open up I get this opacity 0 and set key. In the starting, you go to 500th frame. I'll increase this. I have a key here. I can delete this key. Okay, now you see this completely black now. If I hit play at the starting 0, and slowly it will increase the opacity, it start visible, and you see this how nicely it is blending with the background, and slowly it increases. But I'm doing it approximately, but you can do even more better view than this. Okay, so this is the basic, and you can add boards. See, the boards I have downloaded from marketplace, which is available for free. Pin motion boards available in marketplace, you can download. I'm going to drop this board. See, control and right click. I'm moving on Y axis. Control and left click, I can move on X. I'll place it here. Now you can see you can render this video. You can add some audio as well. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. See you. Bye bye.